FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Command is moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divided with the city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC Sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode, the Washington Commanders made 3 new signings we did not discuss last week because they happened right after we finished recording. So we're going to talk about those 3 signings and then look at free agency as a whole. Did we do enough in free agency to feel good about where this team is going? Did we plug up the holes? Are there any positions that still need addressing? We're going to talk about our thoughts on that. And then Jayden Daniels is playing football, flag football. It's going to be Saturday, 4 p.m. on Fox. There are 3 different teams, 2 15-minute halves, round robin. There's a championship game. Should be interesting. And Tom Brady and Jayden Daniels got to be on stage together for Fanatics to promote the event, and Tom Brady had a couple little jokes in there, and we're going to chat about that, their relationship, etc. And then the comment mailbag, as we always do. So before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
I think there's like a 90% chance I missed the flag football game because I cannot get used to the Pacific time zone thing.
1 p.m. for you.
It is so annoying. I was like 50. I was 20 minutes late to watch the Oscars. I don't miss the Oscars.
You don't miss that's a big deal.
But I'm like, it's sunlight, motherfuckers. What is this? What is this? And it's shit.
Share this shit. And without further ado, let's begin. So the Washington Commanders made 3 new signings since the last time we spoke to you guys. 2 wide receivers, one familiar name in there, and then a running back. The 2 wide receivers, Dyami Brown, he comes back after the 2024 season that he had with us. He signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now he's back with us on a 1-year, $3 million. Okay. And then Van Jefferson, another pass catcher from the Tennessee Titans. That now makes Traylon Burks, Chigakokwo, and Van Jefferson that are on our team now. He signs a 1-year deal, closer to $1.3 million. Not sure on the guarantees on that one. It's smaller than Dyami Brown's deal, but we filled the wide receiver room with 2 more players there. And then Jerome Ford also being added to the backfield. And I can't recall if Jeremy McNichols was re-signed by the time we did last episode. I think he was, but just in case, Jeremy McNichols also back in the room. So K-Dot, your thoughts on the 2 new, air quotes for Dyami Brown, but 2 new wide receivers and 2 new, air quotes for Jeremy McNichols, running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like Dyami Brown was hitting his stride, which got him that contract as far as Jacksonville. And I think everybody here was like, even with what we saw as far as like knowing Deebo Samuel and all the rest of crap, like I think everybody would have been on the same page as far as bringing him back. Just because you saw something in that playoff run, whether or not it was going to stick or not, who knows? But it's worth trying, right? Like, and he did start becoming like that deep threat, and like he looks good in the screen game. So like, I'm excited to have him back and to see that continuation. So like, what I see with the Dyami Brown signing and then looking at like what they've done as far as the youth movement and with Burks, it's like they're betting on some upside, but it's like it's not crazy upside, but it's like, hey, these guys could be maybe solid contributors to this team. And maybe every once in a while you might get something special. I take that, right? Yeah, the running back group, the Jerome Ford, Jeremy McNichols, adding more guys, adding more depth. Who it is that kind of emerges to be what, I don't know. But also we keep talking, going back to we don't know exactly what the offense itself is going to look like, right? So like I like the names. I like dudes that like I hear the names. I'm like, hey man, I remember a few plays that they've done. I remember a little run that they went on with this. I remember them doing this. So it's like it's all positive, real feedback as far as all the signings. Like everybody that I'm seeing is like they're in that age group that it's like, hey, you're not betting a farm on upside, but you're betting just enough that it's like, hey, this is worthwhile without breaking the bank. Because I mean, everybody keeps talking about how no one can make sense of how much salary cap space we got, so and which has been awesome. That's been an awesome thing. But it's like they're bringing in guys that kind of excite me. But like when we get into is that enough thing, I think that's going to be that might be a more interesting conversation. But like the names so far, all good. And the announcement, Chris Paul also re-signed. Like,
he's also back. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, so like that that is dope. That is like everything that I need to know. Is like that is I'm liking everything that they've done so far this offseason.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point on Chris Paul being back, also, we talked about it last episode that as more time passes, it's more likely that he comes back to us. That's exactly what happens on a 1-year deal. And the deals have been happening so quickly, so frequently that even I forgot. So I apologize. And thank you, K-Dot, for mentioning Chris Paul. That now means that Nick Allegretti, Chris Paul, Laramie Tunsil, Josh Connerly, and Cosme project to be the starting offensive line as of right now. We'll see if something gets done at center as we continue through free agency. I like the move, especially the Dyami Brown move, just because he already has chemistry with Jayden Daniels, and you get it at terrific value, right? So he goes for 1 year, $10 million. He cashes in on a terrific postseason with the Washington Commanders, goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doesn't quite work out. They're figuring out Brian Thomas's situation. They're figuring out Parker Washington. They've got Travis Hunter. What's he going to do? And then there's Dyami Brown as well, who they had just signed to that 1 year, $10 million deal. Appears to be the odd man out in that situation. And we get him at a discounted rate, in my opinion. And again, he already knows Jayden. It's a nice field stretcher to be able to provide relief for Terry McLaurin. That's all good. Van Jefferson, once again, that's going to be upside. Former second-round pick, 30 years old. I don't know that he's going to make the team because with these names, you still have some flexibility at that position. So just going through the depth chart real quick, you've got Terry McLaurin, you've got Traylon Burks, you've got Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane, right? That's already 4. And then you got Dyami Brown, Van Jefferson. That's 6. And if you're adding Brandon Ayuk, that's 7. You're probably going to carry 6, right? What does that mean for drafting a wide receiver? So we'll get into that. We talk about what we would do at pick 7 as well later on in the show. But that's already a more full room, one you can trust a little bit before. The running backs. I like Jerome Ford. He had a nice season the year prior to this past one, right? So he's able to help provide relief for Bill or do, it's just nice little 1-2 combo with him. Whereas Rashad White, I can see more as a Jeremy McNichols type. So you have a little bit of versatility over there. Laramie Tunsil dropped a little bit of a hint when he was talking after he signed his extension. There was a press conference for that. And he said he was told there's going to be a little more outside stretch zone, right? So that's an intriguing element of the offense. Certainly something that goes to Bill's skill set. But Jerome Ford can certainly do a little bit of that as well. And we know what Jeremy McNichols brings to us. So I like the moves overall. They're not these like ceiling raisers, but they're floor raisers. And in the case of Dyami Brown, maybe, just maybe, he does have a really nice season. So that's the guy I'd be most excited about, K-Dot.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is can Dyami continue on the streak that he was on when he was last here and continue to move forward? Because I think everybody was like, they were buying what he was selling at the end of that. Yeah, the running back room, as far as like even what they're doing with the outside zone and stuff, like I'm seeing versatility from the running backs. So like everybody has proved. I mean, Bill's probably the only one that's unproven in the sense of being able to be a dual back. Everybody, there's no lack of speed in that room. It looks like right now. I still think we're kind of still looking for that. Who's that 1-2? Like who's the power back, the real true power back in that room? Because I mean, you look at the photos. Jeremy McNichols looks like he's that guy. Like he doesn't look. It's just not necessarily the way that it's been fashioned for him, or I don't know. But once again, I don't know exactly what this offense is going to look like. I wouldn't be surprised if they went and got another running back that was more like the traditional 3-down, like power back sort of guy. And I think that's probably the only thing with the running back room. But I just across the board, except for one position, really, it's I've liked everything they've done offensively as far as in the offseason. I know there's no real talk about what happened defensively except for the Jeremy Reaves re-signing.
Correct.
Which he's locked up for a while. And I think as long as Reaves is playing more special teams than anything else, I don't think anybody's got a problem.
Right, exactly. And so let's go ahead and talk about now free agency as a whole. That's going to include the re-signings, and that's going to be the signings. As a reminder of the signings, it's Odafe Owe, edge rusher. Then it's Chigakonkwo, tight end. Leo Chanel, just the middle linebacker, allegedly. We'll see. Nick Cross, safety, who might be playing in the box a little bit. Rashad White, Amik Robertson, Kalavon Chason, Tim Settle, Charles Omenihu, Dyami Brown, Van Jefferson, Jerome Ford. Lots of names, right? Lots of names that we brought in. And the re-signings, Tressway, Nick Allegretti, Andrew Wiley, Trent Scott, Dietrich Wise, Marcus Mariota, Drake Jackson, Jake Moody, Traylon Burks, Laramie Tunsil. That's the big name right there. Chris Paul comes back. And as K-Dot just mentioned at the very end of the last segment, Jeremy Reaves also comes back. So a lot of names, a lot of continuity, and a lot of new faces as well. K-Dot, did we do enough in free agency?
Maybe. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's a maybe. If you put a gun in my head, I'm saying no. Or at least I'm splitting the baby. Right. So like it's a defensively, I'd say yes. Would I like another corner, someone with a little more length? Because I think as of right now, there's only one cornerback we have in the room that's over 6 feet tall. Just Trey Amos. That's a lot. So like that's something that's like, okay, maybe you need some more length there. So like I would like somebody that we could slot in as like a true number 2 corner, maybe depending on what it is they're going to do with Mikey, right? So like there's that defensively. That's really the only thing I can look at defensively, be like, maybe you need to address that just a bit. But there's no denying defensively the way that I feel is that they took a defense that me, from a talent standpoint, going into last season was probably right around 20. Right around, I'd say 20 to 25 as far as from a talent standpoint. I think these moves themselves pull you into top 15, and it's just a matter of like where's that ceiling when it is you introduce the system that you're introducing. And if I can get even slightly what it is that Brian Flores was getting out of defense in Minnesota, then I feel very firm that we have a top 15 defense, and I really do like the talent that they've introduced and then the athleticism and the speed that they've did. Now, if we're talking about offensively, going into this offseason, I think everybody thought that, like, as far as the list of demands, defense carried a lot more weight than the offense did. And I'd actually say that so far in this offseason, they addressed the defense the way they needed to. Offensively, the one position that's like, center. It's did they have so much faith that they were going to get Lindenbaum that they allowed Biotish to walk? Because Biotish, while it once again wasn't a Pro Bowler necessarily at the center position, but you got a lot from him and a lot out of it, right? I don't think anybody, Biotish so far, I think this offseason, the biggest shock probably is not for the team in the sense of like who didn't come back. So that's the only position that I'm kind of like, hold on, I can look at that and say that you guys probably did just get significantly worse, maybe overall, and you haven't addressed it necessarily. So Lord knows what it's going to happen through the end of the season. Maybe they think they have the guys in place with the Chris Paul and they're shifting whatever. I don't necessarily feel great about it just yet. And then the other thing that everybody's talking about offensively is the wide receiver too, right? Everybody looks as far as the upside with some of these guys, but you look at Terry McLaurin and you'd say that there's a steep drop off between Terry's proven record and anybody else that's in the room, right? So I think that's the thing, but I also think that that's contingent. I think that the entire league is realizing is contingent on Ayuk. At this point, I think everybody's kind of looking at that. Even though Juwan Jennings to me is like sitting right there. Like if they picked up a Juwan Jennings, do I feel good about the wide receiver going into this year? Would I say that I feel great? No, but I think that we fielded a team that I think that we can win games? Yeah. But yeah, I would like to see a true number 2 in the wide receiver room, especially when you start talking about things like the contract and Terry going forward. Then it starts being like more of a red flag sort of thing.
Yeah. So the short answer for me here is yes, right? I do think that we did enough because every team's got holes, but we plugged as many as we possibly could. I do agree with you, K-Dot, that the center position it still needs work, right? Because when we released Tyler Biotish, like you said, I was surprised. I know you were surprised. We texted about it. I was like, yo, this sort of came out of left field. What's going on here? We looked at Lindenbaum. We looked at Connor McGovern. And as luck would have it, Connor McGovern extends with Buffalo before the legal tampering period. And then Lindenbaum goes for $10 million per year more than the next highest center, right? So that's, he's either setting a new standard or that's an overpay, right? And so then you're left with, well, should we have kept Tyler Biotish, right? So that still needs some work. We'll see with Nick Allegretti. Maybe they use the 3rd round pick they currently have on a center that they like, right? And then maybe you feel a bit better about it. I don't know about that, but the center is the only real piece where I have a significant question on offense. On defense, my significant question rides in the secondary, right? Whether it's the safety, whether it's the cornerbacks. As of right now, we have 3 signed. It's Mike Sanderson, Amik Robertson, and Trey Amos, the only guy above 6 feet, right? So like that's obviously thin. When I look at the Vikings defense and what Brian Flores and Durante Jones were doing, corner was the position where you could give up a little. Like it was much more about the linebackers. It was much more about the, those edge rushers at the interior. So like we have put our resources there, which made sense to me. Right. The safeties I'm still interested in, like what we want to do over there. A lot of people are fantasizing about Tyler Owens taking a step with Durante Jones over here because you see his raw athletic score and you just go, man, imagine if we could make that work. Maybe, but it's more likely that that doesn't happen and that we do need to figure out what we're doing with Will Harris, with Quan Martin, with Jeremy Reaves, right? Like these names we figure out, and maybe we add somebody in the draft that way. But overall, we plugged so many holes. I feel much better about where we are this year than we were last year in the offseason, right? The big signing last season, we were like, Javon Kinlaw, did we overpay for him? There's no question of that with any of these guys, right? And you can certainly lose an offseason, and I don't think we lost the offseason with the amount of depth that we picked up, Kate. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I think that this offseason so far, I think is just a smashing success. But and especially when you start looking at like what other teams have done in our division, which I think we're talking about next week, and some other stuff, it's suddenly like okay, we really did, we were aggressive, we kind of called this right. I guess I had one comment and one question for you. So the safety position, I think everybody who's listening to this podcast has heard me do the all 22 or the season wrap. Oh, we never really did a season wrap up, but everything we talked about since the season is wrapped up, know how I feel about the safety room. I will say this. Nick Cross solves a lot of issues that I had as far as in the safety room immediately, just based on his play that I've seen so far. And I think the idea that I'm solidifying with is that while I don't feel that great about the safeties on this team, I think everybody else, as far as in the fan base on the team, feel a little bit higher than I do on the rest of them. And in my thought process is one of them got to work out, right? if I just get Nick Cross and I'm like, so like, I'm just, one of you guys should work out. Owens, Harris, one of you guys, just one of you, just step up.
The thing is, so I agree, right? And I think there are about 28 to 30 NFL teams and fan bases that go, just one of you step up, right? And it's all the time, right? So I like Nick Cross. I like the versatility that he brings. And it would just, especially as scarred as I felt last season watching the secondary, it would be so nice to have another one where I just trust him, right? Like, so that's where I'm coming from with that. I failed to mention Nick Cross when I was talking about the safety room. Apologies. Brain went a step ahead onto the other guys. And so I still think that Quan Martin can work, right? Because of his skills and the coaching.
Y'all have faith in that.
But I want to see, I want to see if Durante feels that way. If the coaching staff feels that way
over the course of the season, like fucking Captain Planet, can you with your powers combined, can you create one starter? Like, can you just create the power of a starter? That's all I need. Somebody that's competent back there that's not going to kick it to get lost. But once again, when you're really looking at it as far as I used to give the safeties a lot of shit, right? And I do think there was a lot of communication breakdowns that happened. And to me, a lot of my issues with the safety room comes down to coaching, technique, and communication. And if that stuff improves, then I think anybody will play better than they did last year as far as that goes. So like that's a given. So that's what I'm saying is that Nick Cross, I guess it's me expressing how high I am on Nick Cross.
Love Nick Cross.
I love him. All right, now offensively, the question I had for you is that the only position you said was necessarily concerned as far as in the center standpoint. Are you, when you think about the wide receiver room, are you taking Ayuk as like a foregone conclusion in the sense of the way that you're doing? Okay, all right, that's
yeah. And so that's what makes me feel pretty good about it. Jayden apparently in constant communication with him, which that makes a lot of sense, right? They're very close. It makes sense that they're pretty close and or in constant communication. And then there's also the element of the 49ers. They want to trade him, but I just don't think they're going to be able to.
Now, I will say this. I'm at this point, and I think that I've been kind of getting there every week, and I think I've been kind of letting on that I'm getting there every week. I am now fully 100%. I believe one narrative over another narrative when it comes to the San Francisco thing, and I'm going full-blown in the San Francisco's being a bunch of dicks.
Yeah.
I'm on Ayuk's side. Trust me, I've been waiting for a reason. I will always love to choose the players over the organization, and I've seen enough. This is petty.
This last piece certainly is, and I think it lends itself to some of the narratives about the organization. And you see how they handle things in the offseason and stuff like that. Adam Peters well familiar as well, by the way. But it's one of those things where if they had just released him immediately, I actually have more questions about Ayuk versus now that it's going like this. It's almost like, okay, I know Ayuk had some missteps based on what I've read about and heard from some of the 49ers beat reporters. Certainly, this isn't just it's all the Niners and nothing on Ayuk. They're missteps. They're missteps on Ayuk's bit, but he has been villainized or vilified, right? He has been vilified tremendously. And I think that we are going to end up with a player that has a lot of talent that will be coming off injury. We'll see what that looks like. But because of his relationship with Jayden, I feel increasingly better about Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, and Dyami Brown all having chemistry with them and have proven they can do something with Jayden. And so all of a sudden I feel better about it, enough so, and we're going to talk about the round 1 pick, that I'm probably not taking a wide receiver at 7. Right? Like that's how I feel about the wide receiver room right now.
Yeah, the only thing that I put is that the only thing I will say is that I can't put Ayuk as a foregone conclusion right now because at this point, I think San Francisco's in, we're doing silly shit territory, and I don't know where that ends. Like, I don't know where that ends. Like, they might trade him to, if they can trade him to another fucking sports league, they'll do it.
Oh, they would.
That's my, it's like, they're going to try to fuck him over. And like, there's part of me that thinks that if everyone thinks that it's a foregone conclusion that Washington's going to get Ayuk, that John, those guys are sitting back there thinking, how can we prevent him from going to Washington?
Sure. So, okay, if we want to play that game, I'm now looking up the San Francisco 49ers picks. This is the level of petty I'm thinking about here. Okay. Because I just need to be very clear. I will say we will never see anything like what I'm about to suggest ever again. And even with the picks I'm seeing right now, I don't see this happening because they've talked about late round pick swaps. Their lowest pick is a 4th rounder. So you want to talk about petty? It's a team that's willing to take on Brandon Ayuk's contract and you give them a 4th. Like it is very much you get a wide receiver for free that you're already willing to pay and you don't even need to give us anything. We'll give you a 4th rounder just for taking him off our hands and we're sending him a message. Because other than that, Ayuk needs to rework a deal with another team. He has that agreement in his contract. So that would mean that if a team is trading for him, you're either reworking it and he'll just refuse to because he wants to play here. It's well documented at this point. Right? Or the team goes, we'll gladly pay you, nothing to rework. And the only way they take that on is if the Niners go, and here you go. Like that's how petty it would have to be. And I just don't see that happening.
I don't put anything past that organization right now in what I'm saying. And the more story, so like the only thing that surprises me about the Ayuk thing is that usually when you have this sort of time, and especially knowing Ayuk's representation, in my opinion, as far as in public opinion, has not done what most players' representation would do, is that they've been mostly quiet, I think, from what I've seen.
Smart.
Which is decent. Like it's a strategy. I think they've actually been too quiet to some degree, but it is rare that as more time goes on that you're not hearing more stories or horror stories about Ayuk in the sense of the locker room or this, that, and the other. This is usually where other players would start throwing dirt. You got the other coaches would start throwing dirt. You have the front office would start throwing dirt, and there's just nothing on the bone. Anytime the beat reporters or anything start talking through it, it's mostly like, hey, the way it looks, Shanahan wanted him, the front office didn't. Front office found any which way to try to get out of the contract and void that son bitch. They did it. Ayuk showed up anyway, and they're like, yeah, we don't want you around. And then Shanahan, and I guess there wasn't as much. Shanahan's a dick. Front office being dicks, they're all petty. And it's just, I'm glad that's probably looking at all of this. Where Adam Peters like, hey, I guess I wasn't looking for a lifeboat, but this is decent. Yeah, the Ayuk thing, I don't want to take it for granted is the only thing that I would caution everybody to. And then I would also say that, like, I guess my question would be, if Ayuk does not show up, how do you feel about the wide receiver room?
No, then I'm certainly nervous, right? Because then it becomes, and that's why it is a bit of a gamble to call it a foregone conclusion on my part, I recognize that. I just, as I'm even thinking, I'm like logical scenarios. And then to your point, it doesn't have to be logical, right? Like you throw that out the window. But then, okay, let's look at the wide receiver room without Brandon Ayuk, right? It's Terry, who, as of right now, will not be on the team next year. For those that don't know, we save a whole lot of money by releasing Terry McLaurin
I think
at the end of this season. I want to believe that.
I know.
I really do. Because we all love Terry. I don't think there's a single Commanders fan that dislikes Terry McLaurin. Like, we all love Terry. We want him to be here for life. We want to retire his number. Like, that would just be awesome. But as of right now, he would be released just based on that number unless they restructure something, right? Or agree to a new deal. Then you're left with Treylon Burks, Dyami Brown, Van Jefferson, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane. That is as thin as it gets across the entire league, right? So it is a gamble. I think the Niners also recognize that in this thing with Ayuk. They go, man, like, these guys must know that if this doesn't work for them, they're in so much shit that they are willing to hold him, right? It's not like we were loaded with other pieces.
That's the point.
That's why I wanted, that's why I was suggesting, right, a Brian Thomas trade last week. This is before these signings happened, because then it's like, well, actually that gives us leverage. We don't need Ayuk, right? So go ahead, you could do whatever you want to, and then they just go, screw it, and they release him. We get Ayuk anyway, right? But that was the idea behind it. That's clearly the idea behind going so hard in the paint for Alec Pierce on a 4-year 120. Right? Like, there was this idea that we are going to bring in a big time receiver in addition to the eventual signing of Brandon Ayuk. And so I think we're just filling up the room just in case, but I would be nervous if we did not end up with Brandon Ayuk at this point. And I would like to know that before the draft. The Niners know that. And so we'll see what happens.
No, as we're probably transitioning into the next topic, I mean, that's the big thing. Everybody right now, it's got, fuck it. I think the everybody knowing going into this draft is like, so the reason I feel the way I do about Terry McLaurin being back is not necessarily because I think the team necessarily wants to do it. I don't think they have a choice. I think that when you look at Jayden Daniels, they're going to look at that and say it would be negligence to walk into a season with one receiver when you have a Jayden Daniels there. I don't think anybody can stomach that. Like, you can't do that, right? So, like, there is an element of, like, there's a reason we have as much salary cap space as we do. There, every once in a while, you gotta have to pay or you gotta do something you don't necessarily want to do. But because you did everything smartly, you can afford to do the dumb thing with one of these things. But I do think it's just they backed themselves into a bit of a corner. Because the other part of this is that, like, as much as I'm on Ayuk's side with all of this, he's coming off an injury, and I have not liked what I've seen. So even if he does get here, there is no guarantee that he actually looks like a number 2 receiver or a number 1 receiver, right? So, like, going into this draft, I think everybody's, like, looking at it and saying that Carnell Tate at 7 ends up being a legitimate option if he's there on the board at 7. Because if you're looking at it going into this next season, it's like, all right, if it's a foregone conclusion that Terry's not going to be here, then you better get more talent that's going to be here going forward, right?
Right. No, that's an excellent point. And logically, Terry has leverage once again as of right now. Like, it's to your point. We also had the experience with it last time. I remember at the time of signing, you were like, well, Terry's not even going to see through this contract, right? But, have things changed enough? Has their relationship repaired some? Because there was an idea, yes, it is business, but there were some hurt feelings, like, how is this going to work long term? If the fences are mended, I think we're actually all right, right? Because I think Terry can continue to produce. We did that analysis where I was like, hey, wide receivers that are in their 7th NFL season, they basically start in the NFL older, still produce as if they were, any person in their 7th NFL season versus this person's 32 versus this person's 28, right? Like, it's the mileage in the NFL that seems to matter more than the age itself, right? So he can still produce. Pick 7. So as of right now, we still have it. I know some people want to trade back to get more picks, and that certainly is on the board because we want to continue filling the cupboard with as much talent as possible. But we do have the pick, and as you can see over here, the graphic K-Dot created, you see Sonny Styles from left to right. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Mansour Delane, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Love, and Caleb Downs, right? These are all names that have been heavily linked to the Washington. What did you say?
Ohio State.
4 of them. are from Ohio State. And then there's the corner, Mansour Delane, and of course the running back, the electric running back, Jeremiah Love. So, K-Dot, given what we've done in free agency, given that we still have the pick, of course, and will for quite some time, what would you do at pick 7?
What I would do is anything it takes to get Sonny Styles. That's me. Okay? That's me. Sonny Styles number 1, Caleb Daniels number 2. That's my opinion. Whether or not they do that, I just think that there's enough question marks going into this that like it really just depends on how things kind of shake out. Like I really do think you have to consider Carnell Tate at 7. I also think you have to consider that Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. One of them probably will not be there at 7. There's also a chance that both of them will not be there at 7. So like if that's going to be the situation, if it ends up going that way, there's no Sonny Styles on the board, there's no Caleb Downs on the board. But you kind of look through it. I think that like when looking through everybody else's like mock drafts, as far as like Ruben Bain is starting to really climb the board. I think for a lot of people.
Daniel Jeremiah's latest one has us taking Ruben Bain.
Right, and I so like. Does that, of all the options, Ruben Bain's probably the one that excites me the least. And once again, that's not fair to Ruben Bain at all, but it's just the one that excites me the least. I really do. I could see all different scenarios and all different ways in which they go about this. I could see a scenario in which like you don't want to pull the trigger on Carnell Tate at pick 7. So, but Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs are off the board. So let's trade back a trade out of it. Right. So like, if I'm looking through what it is I actually think is going to happen, I probably put it like top 3 scenarios. Number 1 scenario at this point, I think Ruben Bain gets drafted. Number 2, I think we draft Carnell Tate. Both of those staying at 7. And then number 3 is we trade back out of it. I really am preparing myself not to have Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs.
Smart. Protect the heart. Protect it.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm at with it. These players right now have a pretty wide range of outcomes.
Yeah.
All of them. Right. So it's a guessing game. And what I love about our free agency period so far is that we address so many issues that you can just go best player available and be pretty content with it. Right. And we feel we've done enough across the board that there's no gaping hole or like huge question mark around a specific position. You can just, again, fill the cupboard with talent over here. Sonny Styles, I have seen go as high as pick 5 to the New York Giants, and then as low as like 12 or 13. And he's a Dallas Cowboy, right? Which would be a nightmare. And then you see Caleb Downs also as high as pick. I've seen him at pick 2 to the Jets. That won't happen, surely. But pick 5 to the Giants, right? And pick 10 to the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Mansour Delane. It really depends. Like, how badly does this team feel they need a corner, like a shutdown corner? He could come to us at 7. Otherwise, it's below that. Jerome McCoy, also a name to look out for if this team likes him more.
Delane's Kimes dark horse.
Okay. See, that's noteworthy.
And Durante Jones coached at LSU.
So there's some connections there. And then Jeremiah Love, maybe the most intriguing one right now, because everyone has mocked him to the Tennessee Titans. And then Adam Schefter with Ty Schmidt from the Pat McAfee Show, they do their podcast. And, Ty Schmidt's talking about Jeremiah Love being added to the mix in Tennessee. And Schefter's shaking his head. He's like, I would not make that assumption. In fact, I think with him, the noise begins at 5 to the Giants, right? And if he's not taking a pick 5, strong chance he's there at 7, right? Then there's the run of teams, Commanders, Saints, Chiefs, where that's his range. Anybody's guess right now, which honestly is so exciting as a fan. You can just do whatever you want with it. The wide receivers, I think we've done enough to not take one this year. I think that we, with Terry, with Dyami, with Dan, and we're gambling with Ayuk, I think we're not going to take one, right? If we end up trading down, sure, you can, because then you picked up an extra second or you picked up an extra third and you can feel a little more comfortable. You get some defensive talent with those picks. I get it. I, as of right now, do not see wide receiver being taken because I also want to believe you, K-Dot, that they do rework something with Terry. And if they don't, you can still take one in the first round next year. You can. You can get a good wide receiver in the first round next year. And immediately, teams do that. They don't just do the succession plan. They also do it with immediacy. I don't know. I just don't see us doing it. So I think it'll end up being a defensive player or Jeremiah Love. Likely the defensive player, though. I don't know that it's edge. Like, that's another one. I think it's going to be Sonny or Caleb. I think it's going to be the remainder of the two. If they're both gone, then maybe Mansour Delane, actually. Right? Like, that's what I think is going to happen.
Delane's really going up the board for me.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be one of those three guys. And I think Delane is almost surely going to be available at 7, right? Whereas Caleb and Sonny, I don't know if one of them's available, take them. But Mansour might just be the pick. That's where I would go with 1, 2, 3. Those three.
No, I mean, but I tell you, like, if Delane ends up being worthy of that pick in the sense of what it means for our team, so you got a quality starter, a spot starter. You're just throwing him in there, and if he can do that at that level, and Trey Amos on the other side of the field, you have a top 15 defense. I think that's a given. Like, even if I like as far as the floor raiser in the sense of like what it means or what it fills in for the squad as far as like what it is they put here so far. Because like Sonny Styles might be my top guy, right? But does that mean that he's vying for position outside of like Leo Chanel? Can you not necessarily have both of them on the field at the same time? What does that look like? So does that necessarily raise the floor, or does that raise the ceiling? It might be a ceiling raiser in the sense of Sonny being legit, but you might be not getting that full compliment because he's sharing with Leo Chanel, and maybe they're both good enough that you can just have one. But Delane being there, and like if he really did it, and they could have Sanders still there at slot and really focus and work on him being there, that defense becomes something legit. So like that's the only thing. Like, while Delane's probably the one that excites me the least in the sense of like that special talent sort of thing, I would not be shocked by the move, and I actually think it'd be a prudent one the more and more that you think about it, right? So like, yeah, and the Jeremiah Love the New York thing, I think that to me makes so much sense in the sense of like them trying to make up for the Saquon thing. And I actually love the Love Scatterboo like 1-2 punch is actually kind of fun to me.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want Sonny Styles there. I really don't want Sonny Styles there. I really don't want him there. I don't think I could handle.
That is the one thing, dude. Sonny Styles is being mocked into the division like crazy. Like it's us, or it's New York, or it's Dallas. Like it's kind of scary. I do hope that if he doesn't end up with us, it's in the AFC somewhere. Obviously, you don't want to be facing this guy twice a year. What'd you say?
Go back to school, Sonny.
Go back to school. He's like, you know what?
Go back.
Mansour Delane actually excites me quite a bit because I think the edge rushers now don't as much, just because we just handed. There you go. Like, we are signing guys that have proven they can get sacks in the NFL already. You don't like when you draft an edge rusher, it doesn't always pan out. We know that, right? So we certainly know that firsthand experience with it. So I don't mind taking someone that seems to be a bit more surefire, a bit more safe, like some of those positions. Corner is a bit of a risk, certainly, but in recent history, teams have been better at drafting these corners. And so I think Mansour Delane or Jermon McCoy. I'm also very high on Jermon McCoy, who keeps getting mocked to Dallas. Whoever you think is going to be better, I'm happy with either of them. Because then, like you said, K-Dot, you have a top 15 defense. I think so too. And then you have Jayden Daniels, and you just never know with that combination, right? Jayden's never had that. He's had like a bottom defense last season, and then before that it was like the 23rd or 24th best defense. You give him a top 15, there's not as much demand on him to do stuff, and that's really exciting to me. That's why I think this pick goes to the defense.
Look, man, I do appreciate the fact that this offseason has put us in a position right now with the draft that it feels as though nothing is being kind of honed in on, in the sense of like they have to do this position because it's like at a complete necessity. The closest thing you get to that is Carnell Tate in the wide receiver room, if you're thinking about Terry McLaurin long term, and if you don't think Ayuk is a foregone conclusion, or you don't trust Ayuk as a foregone conclusion. That's the only one that I could see is like, that's a pick for need. You did it. Gotcha. You feel good about where the floor is overall as far as the team going into this, because there's no center you're fucking picking up at 7, right? So that's one thing. I do think that like there is, if you're looking at just team building and this is what we need to move ourselves forward, it makes all the sense in the world. I think you add Delane to this. You like, once again, the defense to me already rebuilt. They did it. They did it in the offseason already. You put Delane in, I've got no questions anymore, really. I've got no questions. But I also know that, like, for that and Dan Quinn, I've not been one to say you got the hot seat, but I will say the amount of money and fucking and draft stock that's been put into that side of the ball, you better come with something this fucking season. You raised the expectations on that defense quite a bit, and I'm all about it. But then just the pure ceiling raiser, as far as like looking at like what's happened this offseason, we feel better about the defense and what they've done this offseason than we do about the offense this offseason, just as of to now. And if that's going to be the case, Tate or Love, if either of them are available, you can't deny it just made your offense better.
Correct.
So like I totally understand as far as like the splitting. They could do anything and it could make sense. It can make all the sense in the world. I like the flexibility that we have in the sense of the way that we can pivot and make the right choice for us depending on who it is that falls where. I just think that from a fan base standpoint and everything, we'd like to have a better idea of like, all right, it looks like it's going to be this guy, but I don't think you can do that in this draft.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see, and the draft is about a month away now. So, and we will find out more information as we chug along over here, and that's what we do with the next segment, where Tom Brady and Jayden Daniels once again shared a stage, with Fanatics ahead of promoting this Flag Football Classic event that takes place Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox. Which you'll be able to see 3 teams. Brady's got one. Jayden's got one. Joe Burrow, the backup. It's awesome on Jayden's team. And then the Team USA National Flag Football Team, which is pretty cool. Let's see how they compare to some of these NFL stars. And Brady had a little bit of fun with Jayden Daniels as they were chatting. And he ends up saying, hey, look, first off, he absolutely adores Jayden. I think that also needs to be said as context setting. He loves Jayden Daniels. And so he ribs him a little bit. And so he says, look, I'm just glad his mom's allowing him to play and allowing him to be here right now. And he needs to be home when the street lights get turned on. And so, I think that is love and affection and stuff like that. Not everyone agrees with me there, K-Dot. A lot of people, a lot of fans were like, dude, Tom, we could talk about his personal life and stuff like that. Like, they got real deep in it. I disagree with that. I think these are two people that really get along well and admire each other. And honestly, I like seeing Brady cut it loose a little bit. His personality finally showing, and sharp guy. I don't know. So I enjoyed this interaction. What about you?
Look, number one, everybody coming for Tom Brady. Shut the fuck up. Tom, like you can talk about the personal life. I don't know if you guys watched. There was literally a roast of Tom Brady that occurred that he signed up for. And remember, the only time that anybody got any pushback is he basically telling everybody, don't talk about Robert Kraft and the whole situation. That was it. It was like beyond that, free game, right? Everybody came with it.
That's also what we found out about Bill and Jordan. Gronk let that slip.
I'm still Pablo Torre and everything that's happening with that. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. The idea to me is like, from a Tom Brady standpoint, me and you talked about this pre the episode. I'm loving his villainy, just him embracing, I'm just going to be a dick. I'm the GOAT. You can't touch it. Just let me just do whatever. Loving that. No notes. Anybody criticizing, shut the fuck up. I do understand, I guess, to some degree. It's the same way, like, I've come here on the podcast and I've said one or two things about Jayden and his mom. I've tried to be as respectful as possible when it comes down to it. But the shit is funny, and I'm sorry, but if Jayden was one of my boys, I'd give him shit. And like, I love the fact that Tom is just the fact that you have the greatest quarterback to ever line up. Love our franchise quarterback the way he does, and giving him that kind of shit, to me, is one of the best things that could have ever happened for us. Right? It's amazing. The only criticism I had about this at all was the fact that they were initially looking at doing anything in Saudi Arabia, and I've got a lot of thoughts as far as that part of it goes, right? So where's that fucking money coming from? Just throwing it out there. Just, if there are concerns about this, let's talk about the real concerns.
Sure. It's now in LA. Yeah, very, very quietly got moved to LA.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're just gonna move it over here. The only criticism I have about any of this stuff is Jayden. Let it fly, bro. Like, fight back. I want to see you fight back. Like, because you can see Jayden's a joker. We've seen it every time that
He's
they
a
have
shit talker, by the way. Whenever you hear little snippets, you're like, oh man, he gets in there.
Him and Bobby Wagner in their back and forth to a point in which it gets dry enough that everybody, you can kind of be like, is there some truth in that? Like, they give, and it's like wonderful. Jeremy Reaves in the mix. Like, anytime the cameras are there in Ashburn in any part of the offseason or any part in between the weeks, that's all we're getting. I know Jayden can fight back even better than that, but Jayden's still kind of like, I gotta be. I'm still worried about my image just a little bit. And I'm like, just let it move.
And he does when he's very comfortable with these guys. And again, I think Tom Brady only does this because he knows they're tight, right? Like, he knows that there's affection there, there's love there, and there's no ill will there, right? It's different if they didn't know each other and then he said that. That would be weird. That would be like, okay, whoa, like, hold on. But they know each other. Like, they've interacted with one another. They've been on stage together already a few times. Like, they are familiar with one another.
Can't be more close than choosing to go and get money from a terrorist state. I mean, come on, it's camaraderie.
That is camaraderie, huh? And Jayden, we know, is a clown, right? Like, when he was doing, I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was some sort of trivia with Bijan Robinson, and they show Donkey from Shrek, and they go, "Who voices this guy?" And he immediately goes, "Mike Sanderstill." Right? Like, he just he's a funny guy. They were like, obviously not, but he cooks him. Like, when he's close with you, he's a funny dude, and he will roast you, and it's just it's sports, right? Like, I had no problem with it. I'm excited to see how Jayden does tomorrow. His teammates: Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley, Kyle Juszczyk, Odell Beckham, Devontae Adams, D Hop, Derwin James, Luke Kuechly, Jalen Ramsey, Logan Paul, and I Show Speed. The other two. Those are the celebs. What'd you say there?
Don't love the Logan Paul part.
Say.
The polls in Saudi Arabia make me kind of question a lot of things.
Yeah. Well,
like, the only thing in the world worse than that would be like Jayden's teammate Andrew Tate. Like, oh, hang on, guys. What?
Developed amazing chemistry in their first game. Yeah.
Flag football brought to you by Fresh and Fit. Hold on. What? What's happening?
Any final thoughts here before we go to the comment mailbag?
The thing I appreciate probably more than anything else about Tom's ribbing is he went for the jugular on something I think I know probably bothers Jayden, because it would bother everybody, as far as the mom thing. And I need people to push that button just a little bit.
I truly don't think it bothers Jayden, though. You think
I think it. Here's the thing. I don't think it. I think he's wired in a way in which it wouldn't bother him like it would us mere mortals, right? I think that it's on a different plane. But I do think, for the most part, he's above reproach unless it's two topics. Number one, protecting yourself from injury.
Right. That one I think does.
Right. I do think it's both of those things. I'm sorry. Just from a male standpoint, and especially a black male standpoint, you don't want to feel emasculated in that way. Like, go and ask your mom. Like, especially when you got goofy ass Tom Brady doing it. Regardless, you could be a goat.
That's fair. I see your perspective.
So, like, there's that element of. But the fact that he can laugh about it, let it roll off, and just keep going about it. That to me speaks volumes as far from a character standpoint. You can still think of that joke. You can still even be composed, which is what I think Tom's doing. Tom is poking him, knowing, hey, man, I remember what it's like to try to be the franchise face. You can't say this and that. Couldn't do shit until I went to Tampa Bay. Poke. And it's just like, I'm like, that shit to me is so dope. It is trial by fire in the most fun way possible. I can imagine as soon as you get off the stage, Jayden turns around like next to Drewski and Kevin. Yo, Tom, fuck you, man. It's just like, that's why I wish and I crave for that. That to me is, we got our franchise quarterback, and I love seeing shit like that.
Yeah, it's fun. And again, Saturday, 4 p.m. Fox Eastern Time, 1 p.m. for KDOT.
Yes.
And so with that, we go to the comment mailbag featuring our now new-ish intro.
And now the
Comment mailbag time, you motherfuckers. District divided, beat the brakes off of suckers, pull up and fall in. Spread the word and get your ass in line. OGs and new blood, it's your goddamn time. This is the gospel, ho, and we spit it like scripture. Burgundy and gold got the whole damn picture. Yeah, cancel that wish. And if you're still with ice, we know your mama is a bitch. K-Dot in the myth, we don't miss, we deliver glorious audio art out your motherfucking speakers. District divided, welcome to church. Comment mailbag time now, who's up first?
Ooh, love the smoke over there. We begin with Rennell Winchester's shout out going, wow, Commanders just signed Van Jefferson and Dyami Brown. Is Ayuk still on the table? No Brian Thomas now. Brian Thomas being something I suggested was happening behind the scenes because they had been shopping him allegedly over the NFL trade deadline in the middle of last season. So I was like, oh, maybe you go get him. He's got a relationship with Jayden. Doesn't look like that's happening now with Dyami Brown and Van Jefferson in the building. K-Dot, is Ayuk still on the table?
He fucking better be. But like the only thing I have with that, what I've been contemplating in my brain has been last offseason. If they don't sign Debo, and let's say the contract dispute or what goes off into the offseason as far as the Terry thing doesn't happen, we immediately re-sign, right? Do I feel good about the wide receiver room if Dyami Brown re-signed last year, going into last season without Debo Samuel? If it was like Dyami and Terry, knowing what it is I saw about Dyami. And in all honesty, I think I was just enough that high on Dyami Brown that I would have been like, yeah, you know what? I kind of want to see this. I wouldn't mind seeing this. Would I think that you could upgrade? Yeah, but like, would I have hated it? No. So like, I'm looking at 1 year removed, Jacksonville, whatever. He didn't do anything in Jacksonville that would make you think that he's washed up or shit, but it's like, it's whatever. Because we're like a neutral thing that happened. You're just a year older.
Right.
So like, when I look at that and I'm trying to think of it as a pure continuation of the last time I saw Dyami Brown, and I'm like, if this is the wide receiver room, do I feel okay about it? I'd say that I'm curious, but I wouldn't feel safe.
Yeah, the gap year, you just don't know, right? With that gap year. Is Ayuk still on the table? I agree with K-Dot. He fucking better be. And I believe he is, right? I think it's still us waiting for him to be released, and then we are going to sign him to some sort of 1 year prove-it deal. Not like a vet minimum, just to be clear. When you see the contract, it's going to be more than that, significantly more than that, in my opinion. But it is something that we're going to sign with him. Like, so yes, he's on the table, and yes, I expect him to be a Washington Commander.
I think it might be cheap as shit.
Put a number out there.
Honestly, I don't know. You know what changed it? You know what changed it for me in my brain? Rashad.
Oh, the 1 year too. Interesting. Also
Rashad
has the relationship with Jayden. Yeah.
Because even when we're talking about the San Francisco and their options, right? No one's going to touch him unless they know he wants to be there. That's enough. That's enough that I've seen based off of what happened out of San Francisco. Nobody's going to want to get a malcontent. Like, even right now, I think the only reason everybody slotted Ayuk to us is because of the Jayden connection, and everybody's been talking about it for as long as we have. Like, he was connected to us last year and all this kind of shit. That's the only reason that we're like, nobody else is talking about Ayuk going to them other than us at this particular point in time. It's almost like it does feel like a foregone conclusion. And I think the reason being is that I think everybody looking through all of it is saying that as much as San Francisco might be dickheads about this, there is a chance that Ayuk's not going to want to go anywhere and put up with anything unless it's a situation that he wants to be in. And if that's the case, then it is truly a prove-it deal for him. And it's going to be like, and for us, it's like, if you're Adam Peters, and I've seen how whatever the word would be as far as the way that he spends, which is like, it's a very particular word, I would say, in the way that he spends. It's deliberate. All right. He's frugal, maybe be the way to say it. I can see that if there's leverage there, while I don't think Adam Peters wants to start off the relationship with any animus, I also think that Adam Peters is not going to be like, we're going to roll over and do whatever fuck Ayuk wants to do, especially knowing that, look, as much as you give San Francisco shit, Peters was a part of that front office at some point. So, I mean, there might be some sort of rub off in some way, or maybe Peters knows exactly what kind of bullshit San Francisco's on. Right. He's like, all right, yeah, we well,
Ayuk will still have a market is the thing, right? So once he's released, I do think that there would be a team desperate enough that they would go, we will give you 2 years, 45 or something like that. Doesn't really kill. Teams are crazy, right? Like, I mean, it just takes one. I could see that happening, and then Ayuk goes, well, okay, well, I would rather be in Washington. I'll do it for 1 year and less because that's not 2 years and I can immediately re-sign a big one, right? So I think we end up landing in that 1 year 10 to 12 range. Like, I think that's what ends up happening. And it's largely incentive based, right? But I think that's what ends up happening.
Okay. I think it might be sub 10, but I wouldn't.
If it's 1-8, if it's anything below 8, I would be like, oh my God, wow.
Anything under 8, yeah. I mean, you're getting a deal based on what it is we think the upside of the talent is for him. But I do think that the Rachaad White thing didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't.
No. It's shocking when that number came in.
So I do think that there is a sort of like, we know you want to be here.
Yeah. Rennell Winchester continues. No Yak Zach out. Yak Chig in. This is a feature we have not had in the past 2 years. We will be getting yards on our team stats from this position. This is an excellent pickup. K-Dot, your thought and take on Zach Ertz no longer being tight end 1. It is Chig Okonkwo.
Upgrade. But I also but Zach Ertz and what he brought to the offense, I always thought it was more of a safety valve for Jayden more than anything. Anytime that
Mariota
or anybody was on the field, I was just when Mariota was on the field, it became extremely clear to me that I needed more from the tight end position, like every time. Because every time that you might criticize as far as Zach Ertz, he'd just get open enough and Jayden would trust him and then he'd pull off the play that we needed in the moment, right? So it's hard to criticize that when that's the case. But if we're going to go beyond this, I think that it only makes sense to upgrade the position for Jayden and his development too. I don't need nothing but safety valves in the sense of, Zach gets open and he just does this thing. I need to do more. And to hear Jig not talk about shit all over the offense he's coming from.
Big time.
And I do think that we've got a very, very interesting tight end room and really, really, really interested to see how to deploy him.
Yeah. And the thing with Chig Okonkwo is he's already done a lot. Like, while he's shitting on the Titans, he's running tight end screens. It is a lot. He's sort of a safety valve in that offense, but he's more than that in terms of his speed and his ability to be able to stretch the field from the tight end position. He's going to require more attention than Zach Ertz would, right? Like, I do think that there's almost a mutual agreement between the Commanders offense and the opposing defense with Zach Ertz, and that, like, we'll let you have Zach Ertz, but it's not going to be, for a first down. Ideally, it's just going to be take these few yards because we know you're not going to get more than that. We'll live for the next play, right? With Chig, you can't do that, right? Because if you leave him in open space, then he can make a play. He can break a tackle. He can juke you out, right? Like, so they are going to need to have more attention on him, which changes the way the offense performs. I am also excited about Chig Okonkwo over here. Go ahead, Kate.
One thing I will say, this goes more of one of the issues I have just with the league, positional value, the way that things are getting deployed. I would say across the league, for the most part, offensive minds don't do a good job scheming things for the tight end position. I don't think enough systems do enough to highlight that. I do think that for the most part, tight end is almost like an afterthought, and in the sense of they are the safety valve. And what I think in a lot of offenses, what they rely on is the matchup. Being off, in the sense that it being an advantage, they have somebody that's more athletic to do that, and that's the only thing they ever try to do. I do think that there's a lot of room for what it is that needs to happen for across the league, and I do think the position is more important than the league is necessarily giving the attention it needs to right now. I think the only thing that we've been seeing right now is they've been getting more shots at getting these athletic guys in higher points of the draft, but they haven't learned quite what they need to be doing with the position.
And again, the offense that David Blau showed Chig Okonkwo was that Detroit offense, was film of Sam Laporta. That's a team that uses their tight end quite effectively. So I do think that we have big plans for Chig. We'll see if that translates come week 1 and the rest of the upcoming NFL season. Vindo goes, paying a center $27 million is wild. Not going to lie. Once again, that is the highest mark by at least 2 standard deviations. It's quite high, because the next highest I want to say is $18 million a year. I would need to be checked on that, but that is a significant increase. K-Dot, would you have met that asking price for Tyler Linderbaum?
What did Biotic sign for? Do you remember?
3 years, 30. The exact same thing he signed with us for. early on.
That's what I regret.
Yeah. There I agree. I do think that we probably misjudged how that was going to go. And Biotis got snapped up like that. Right. And so now we're in this situation. See what happens with Allegretti as of right now. B. Wheeler goes, happy with the beginnings of free agency and our acquisitions. I do wish we had retained Jacob Martin and Tyler Biotis. Once again, another Tyler Biotis shout out. I think a lot of us feel that way, given the way the center position has, progressed or regressed, whatever word you want to use since then. Jacob Martin also signed elsewhere. I can't recall where right now, but yeah, he's no longer on the market. He will not be on the team next season. K-Dot, your reaction?
I mean, Jacob Martin, I think, was on both of our lists of guys that a guy that we would have brought back.
Yes.
But that being said, I would have liked him back, but it's more like just that. It's the same thing. Like I know it's less likely now with the signings that they made, but like I'm still completely content with Von Miller coming back still.
Mm-hmm.
With what I've seen them getting production out of the defensive ends on this particular defense, even with how shitty the defense looked at certain points last year, I think we upgraded. I don't miss Jacob Martin the way that I would have if they didn't make the moves that they made. Now it's just sort of like, all right, we're good. I don't know what happened with the center thing. I think that's just it's a Adam Peters fuck up in not knowing what the market for center was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think what probably ended up happening was I think that we were right there in the Tyler Linderbaum thing, but I do think the asking price was a little too much for what it is that Adam Peters wanted to do. So I think it was a huge misjudgment, and you just got that entire market wrong. Which is I also think that they didn't think there was any chance that Biotis was going to get snatched up as quickly as he did, because I think that they probably thought it was going to be something similar to like the Chris Paul thing, which is like, hey, well, if this doesn't work, we'll be able to circle back. Like, nope, not at all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any other way to look at it, unless, again, there's this center that's projected to go in round 5 that they're like, man, he will definitely be there at round 3, and we view him as a round 2. Like, the likelihood of that is so slim, right? And also, that's a gamble.
That's a weird gamble.
Right? But that's the only thing you can think of after everything's shaken out the way it has, right? So it looks like the only logical conclusion is they misjudged the market. So we're going to have to live with that and hope that Nick Allegretti is ready for this task. Vindo goes, AP likes them young and fast. Once again, a lot of signings and young, fast, athletic, right? Like the words Durante Jones used, very much prevalent in the signings, right? Odafe Owe entering the prime of his career. It looks very good. By the way, Jacob Martin, 2 years, $11 million to the Tennessee Titans. Just to tie a bow on that whole thing. Odafe Owe, we signed over there. Leo Chanel, right? Younger, coming off of a very successful short career with the Kansas City Chiefs, now ready to step up into a starter role. Nick Cross, also very young, 24 years old. Chika Okonkwo, also very young, 25, I want to say. Like, these guys are young, they're fast, and Adam Peters, did he sign anyone over the age of 30? Like Omena, who's 28 also. Like, I'm actually trying to think about that. I don't know that he did.
I don't think any new guys. I don't think any new guys at all.
Message received, right? Loud and clear, K-Dot.
Yeah, the entire time, as far as Adam Peters like them young and fast. I had an experience last week where a woman kind of told me the same thing. She's like, hey, my knees and my hips don't work the way they used to. You need to wrap it up. And I was like, oh, all right. You got to whisper in my ear, and then we'll finish this up real quick.
Vindo goes to his next comment. Didn't think we would get Chase on, but boy, that was a great steal. No idea why the Pats let him walk. So one of the elements here, Vindo, is that the Patriots spent a ton last offseason, right? And while they did sign multi-year deals for a lot of guys, Chason was not one of them, and they had to choose to retain certain ones, right? So they just ended up making the choice. They went, hey, our defense is quite good. We can survive without K'Lavon Chason, and we'll bring it back for the right price, but looks like we offered something higher. They live with it. They move on. They still got some good pieces over there. So I think that's why they let him walk. But it's our game because Chason's going to help this defense out a lot, K-Dot.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're the Denver Broncos, everybody usually loses someone and gains someone because that's the way that free agency works, right? So, like, there's just not enough. People want different things after certain points of time. Like, you never really know. But there's talent shifts hands in free agency. It's just what it is. But yeah, good for us. It's the same thing. Like, I think a lot of people looking like Leo Chanel, and it's like, well, what the hell? Like, Kansas City should have locked that up. Like, he looked great, and it's like, yeah, sometimes some of these guys can walk through some doors, and sometimes there's a little more money than anybody's willing to spend, and it's just the way it kind of lays out. And I just think that we were perfectly primed in looking at all of those opportunities and look at those guys that might need that upside, or look at those guys that might need just a little more time or just need a little more playing time, and then we were extremely strategic in that sense. That's where I give, outside of misjudging the center market, 10 out of 10 as far as picking your spots, Adam.
There, I totally agree. And Rennell Winchester, back to him, goes, I have been a supporter of Sonny Styles since he was listed as number 15 in the draft. I'm still hoping that can happen. If not, I still want a defensive player. Otherwise, maybe trade down so we have a better chance at a center like Jake Slaughter, currently at number 94, or even Lorenzo Styles Jr. I am not on the love train. So does not want running back at pick 7 overall, is looking at the defense still. K-Dot, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows that most likely the first time you heard Sonny Styles' name on a podcast, Richard Boy, just saying.
Yeah.
And when he's lined up in blue playing for New York and he's the next coming of fucking Ray Lewis, I'm gonna be very upset. Fuck, I'm not prepared for this. Yeah, you know what? That's the only thing I'm thinking about now.
Rennell Winchester continues, I have been an I want receiving running back Rachaad White fan for a while. I'm so pleased that we signed JD5's friend. He has excellent potential for us. You did a great job of describing his talents. Thank you. Got 2 thumbs up over there. And also, when you put together the contract, right, being 1 year 2, hard to get much better than that for a player like that, K-Dot.
I like the running back room in Tampa Bay. I usually make it a point to draft at least one of them in fantasy football every year. Sometimes it's frustrating, but I like the talent that they've always had there. Bucky Irving, I think, is supremely underrated. Yeah, Rachaad. I mean, that was, you called Chig, I called Rachaad. It just to me, it just made a lot of sense. I am a little surprised that Jeremy McNichols coming back, but I mean, you need depth there, and like, you don't need the drop off to be that significant as far from a pass pro standpoint if one of these guys goes down, right? So like, and we know Bill's got some room to be made in that department. So I understand it yesterday, but I am truly excited with the Rachaad White pick. And I would not, going into this season, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if there's any running back in the room right now that I'm actually picking to deliver the most, it's him.
Yeah. Well, oh, that's interesting. Okay. I'd still have Bill, but looking at Jeremy McNichols coming back, not surprising at all to me. It also keeps teams guessing as to what we're going to do with pick 7, right? Because then when you bring in now and Jerome forward 4 running backs, maybe teams go, oh, maybe they're not taking Jeremiah Love when we have every intention to. We have a lot of options over here with pick 7. Go ahead, K-Dot.
I think Love's off the board.
I don't think he's off the board yet.
I hope he's not.
Yeah, I don't think he is. Here is Jansen Elaine, shout out, going, because I haven't read that name before, so welcome to Comment Mailbag, who goes, I think AP has set himself up to trade for Brian Thomas Jr. Number 7 and number 145, that's our 5th round pick, to Jacksonville for Brian Thomas Jr., the number 56 overall pick, the number 88 overall pick, the 100th overall pick, and a 2027 first. It makes sense for both teams when you dig into the details. It might not happen until draft night, but it's going to happen. AP adds a legit wide receiver 2 who could become wide receiver 1 if Terry leaves after this year. So AP adds him. He is 23 and has 3 years left on his rookie contract. Will probably re-sign on a hometown discount when the time comes so he can stay with Jayden. He already has chemistry with Jayden. Add him and add multiple picks. Jacksonville has 11 picks and no first rounder. So this gives them a top 10 pick. They traded for Myers and gave him, Jacoby Myers also, Jacksonville Jaguar, gave him a long-term deal. Traded up for Travis Hunter. Have Parker Washington there, and Brian Thomas Jr. does not fit there. It could also be something like Johnny Newton, Quan Martin, and a 2027 4th for Brian Thomas Jr. and a 2027 7th. Here's what I'll say. A lot of the logic lines up with what I was saying last week. So, Jansen, I completely agree in terms of it making sense for us specifically I think Brian Thomas represents an excellent value to everyone in the NFL, but even more so for us, right? Like, I do agree with that. As for what the trade looks like, the first one is, I think, a little too rich for the Jaguars, because then you're also saying they're giving up their 2027 first. I don't know about that, but yeah, could something still be in the works? Certainly. I've been surprised by a few things this offseason, and you never say never. But we'll see. K-Dot, what is your reaction?
The Brian Thomas thing doesn't really interest me. It has not been something that's like excited me, but the more and more that I hear about that, kind of like this go. I don't know if anybody heard Steve Smith actually talked about it for a little bit, and the sense of like his inkling is that Brian Thomas is not feeling appreciated or wanted by the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, which weird. I don't know, but there was a drop off last season, and there's I need an explanation for it. Some people are saying fit, whatever. Sorry, but coming off of what it is that happened the rookie season, he looked like he was about to be like the world's phenom from a wide receiver standpoint. Anybody that drafted him fantasy last year knows he was not that. I get the LSU thing. As you've seen as far as the rookie season, I just need to know more about what the fuck went on in Jacksonville over the course of last year, because it's just weird to me. It's just weird to me. I don't know what the deal, what the situation is, and I don't love the idea of all these fucking wide receivers being so upset where they are. They just need to find Daniels for everything to be okay. Like I don't love that being I don't love that being the thing. That to me do entirely too many things. It's in what you have to do as far as like draft compensation or anything to try to make a trade like that for somebody that young. As much as I am a person that believes in like I follow more the LA Rams' approach to the draft. If it was me doing it, right? Like I'm content with not necessarily drafting players. Brian Thomas to me is just enough of a question mark in my sense that I'm not entirely sure I'm giving him a whole lot.
Oh man,
whatever that situation is.
I mean, the more I think about it, Jensen, like the more I would be like, yeah, actually, I'd still do it, just because the financial commitment to Dyami Brown and Van Jefferson is not so much that it precludes you from doing something like this. And
take care of your Terry situation.
Yeah, it does. See, that's a big piece of it for me, and it also gives us leverage with Terry, right? So like you could still choose to bring Terry McLaurin back, but then it's like, okay, but Brian Thomas is also here. Brandon Ayuk no longer becomes a requirement. He becomes somebody that we would like to bring in. You get leverage with him as well, knowing that he wants to come here, right? Like, I do think that there is a lot of upside with bringing in a 23-year-old that had a 1,200-yard, 10-touchdown season in his rookie year. When they traded up for, I'm just speculating, I don't know, right? Like, they trade up and get Travis Hunter, right? And they're like, he's going to play both sides of the ball. And I don't know what the offseason plan was in terms of how much they wanted to feature Travis Hunter, right? If I'm Brian Thomas, I just had this amazing year. Maybe it's like, why are we bringing this guy in, right? Like, I get it from the corner perspective, but I'm hearing rumors that he's going to be a wide receiver and you just took him 2 overall, right? And you traded up to get him. Maybe there's something there. I don't know, because it is a weird situation, right? But it's the only real thing I can think of. And then they trade for Jacoby Myers in the middle of the season, right? And they give him a long-term deal. Like, it's strange.
I would say this: if the first part, if drafting Travis Hunter hurt him that badly, I want nothing to do with Brian Thomas.
I'd still take a flyer on him, but I get what you're saying.
Nothing to do with that if that's the thing that did it.
Yeah, I don't know, but his chemistry was more with Mac Jones than it was Trevor Lawrence. There's also that. So
there's a lot.
Maybe he just doesn't get along with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
but I mean,
in which case I would take.
That makes me question. Trevor Lawrence is a Waffle House guy. You can't be upset with a Waffle House guy.
Well, if he is, I mean, he's certainly not worried about Daniels.
That's some terrorist shit. And fuck, you don't like Waffle House.
Jansen Elaine goes with another one here. Nothing that AP has done will affect what he does in the draft. 7 to 8 blue chip players in this draft. He will take one of them. Armstrong, Chason, Amenahu, Payne are all on 1-year deals now. Quan Martin and Will Harris only have 1 year left, and Luvu is also entering the last year of his deal. That is an excellent observation. There are a lot of people that are going to need new contracts coming up at the end of the season. We are going to have to pick amongst that crew. It's interesting. Also must be noted that if Deron Payne is not re-signed and has another year where he plays most of the snaps, we're talking 90+% of the snaps as he's been doing, we will receive a comp pick for him, third rounder typically. So just something to note on him. But yeah, a lot of 1-year players remain for this coming season. And yeah, I don't think it precludes us from anything in the draft. The only thing I think we don't do is wide receiver right now. That's all I think.
The only position I have an issue with at 7 is quarterback.
I agree with that too. I was thinking about that. I was scrolling through mock drafts. I was like, if we took Ty Simpson, I would be quite upset.
Yeah, that's it.
From King Showtime 81 going, Dyami coming back as a deep threat. That was literally written 20 minutes after we published this episode because that's how quickly it happened over there. The Nathan Perry goes, one of the most annoying parts of free agency is the fan reactions. I have a strong dislike for hearing about slow starts and how we missed on people. The former is annoying because it still takes time to make these deals happen. Teams are allowed to video call players now. That seemed at least a bit important to Chigakonkwo, who was not signed right away. The latter bothers me because there are many reasons why deals do not go through for AP and the team. It's not a miss because a player chose elsewhere. Sorry for the long comment. I'm sure K-Dot forgot what the first part was about. Much love, gents. K-Dot, your reaction.
Yeah, unless you say something that like is a for me, I usually but I also haven't taken my Adderall yet. It's early here on the West Coast.
Martin Collins goes, I told you.
I don't know if David Foster. Shut up. David Foster Wallace, the author of a book, Infinite Jest, which I know a lot of people probably written or read or maybe you've heard of it. He gave a commencement speech years and years and years ago. They call it This is Water. I'd suggest anybody, if you haven't watched it, watch it. It changed my life completely. But he talks about what it is you need to do to change your natural default setting. Now, don't get it twisted. David Foster Wallace did end up unaliving himself, but take everything with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, when it came to him and what it is he had to say, is the same way I feel about a lot of things just in society right now. I think we are too high and low on trying to react to something or to have a take on something or to know that like we got to say something. We got to have a feel. I got to tweet what it is I'm thinking, what it is I'm feeling at this particular moment. And everybody wants to go all ham with it. And guys, anticipation, the unknown, those levels are areas of gray where you're just not sure. It gives you the opportunity to kind of think with a positive lens or to maybe give people the benefit of the doubt. And I'll tell you right now, your life would be infinitely better when you replace all the cynicism and crazy shit with some positivity. Because when you just don't know, you can always skew positive more than negative. Just saying.
I think what happens for people, right, is there's a lot of buildup to free agency, right? The Super Bowl ends, you're a month out from free agency. And what you end up doing is you hear the big names that are going to be available in free agency, right? And then all of a sudden, that is free agency. Those 8 to 12 names you heard. And if you don't get any of them, it's a failure, right? And so then you get the reaction immediately, right? Alec Pierce was a name that a lot of people had. All of a sudden, we don't get him. Tyler Lindenbaum, that's another name, right? That was out there, and we don't get him. Romeo Dobbs, that's another name that we were thinking about. We don't get him. Quay Walker, that's another name. We didn't get him. Reek Woolen, that's another name. We didn't get, right? So, like, when that happens, right, then people go, the sky is falling because they don't have enough information to know that there are still plenty of excellent free agents out there, right? And Adam Peters got a lot of them. Because as you read more about each of these guys, if you're not immediately informed, you're like, oh, like you just see everybody go, oh, well, if this guy was available, that's great, right? But that's what happened.
So once again, every person you just named, I look at as like, okay. So like it's like the idea of like that space of that time where everybody builds this shit up when you're off season's here. It's time to fire up franchise mode and Madden. I'm gonna play make believe now. And it's like, yo, guys, calm the fuck that you've built. Like, I'm sorry, man. If this off season everybody has to convince me that Alec Pierce is the guy, I'm like, calm the fuck down. Calm down. Just calm down. And then not to mention, I still go back to anyone could say anything they want to. I need everyone to remember our history and when it is you felt good or felt bad. Or even when you look at this last offseason, as far as the teams that played in the Super Bowl, The New England Patriots spent a lot of money this last offseason and retooling and redoing a lot of shit. No one was talking about them in that sense in the free agency. Like, look at what they spent. Look at what they did. It was kind of like they were very strategic in what it is they did.
Some of us were.
Some of us, I mean, more than anything, the reason most of us were high as far as New England was looking at that fucking schedule, which is why I ended up having I had them finishing higher than you fucking did.
I was the one that brought it to your attention. Months ago.
Once you do the schedule, it was like, hold on, what? They got
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So that's what did that. But it was like, dude, majority of the time in the offseason, the teams that make the most noise, the teams that do this, that, and the other, might be loud at certain points of the season, might even look good at certain points of the season. But I'm telling you, majority of the time, they're not playing for a fuck Lombardi trophy. Just not. Yeah. It's just be measured in what it is you're doing, and just know that like there's free agency is a long fucking period of time, and it's just you don't know exactly how this is going to shake out. It doesn't make sense being that high or low emotionally. Or the thing that's unforgivable is I saw your takes. I saw your takes, guys. I saw what it is you wrote on Twitter. You didn't need to.
My takes.
You didn't need to have that. Huh?
I said, what was wrong?
No, motherfucker, I heard you here.
And you can hear me anytime on this channel that you're on. Like and subscribe, please.
Fucking Alec Pierce. I gotta worry about this white boy. What the fuck is y'all talking?
Just to be clear, AP was on my side. He offered a bag to the man. He did.
Like I've said this from the get-go. When I say AP loses out in these battles, I'm thinking it's a win every time. Every time
could end up being a win. Just to be clear,
I think it's the best thing ever. Every time that Peter's like, well, you know what? That's just a little too much. I'm like, wise choice, buddy. Wise choice.
Here's Martin Collins who goes, I told you, try and fix defense through free agency and take best player at number 7, y'all. And that's what we're set up to do once again. With pick 7 overall, I think we can go just about any direction, save quarterback, and you just go, okay, cool, we move, right? Like that is the feeling right now. Do you agree, K-Dot?
Yeah, unless there's some way that we can get Mendoza at 7 and then trade his ass. No.
B. Wheeler goes, I'm going to need Ayuk and another wide receiver and a center and a guard. So still a few more positions of need. That was 6 days ago, right? We have signed some wide receivers since then. But Ayuk still in need. We talk about the center position. What's going on over there, right? And then guard, we end up getting Chris Paul back after this was written. So that gets taken care of. Get out your reaction.
The only thing, the closest position of need for me is just is center. And what that looks like or what that I just need to know that there's a plan. So I'm not even saying they got to pick up a center, but they need to know who's going to slot in at center. And they got to feel a good way that person slots in the center that their position is going to be taken care of. So like, literally the only thing. If they went into this season with this particular wide receiver room, it doesn't blow my skirt up, but I'm fine with it. Mm-hmm. Corner, do I want another one? Yes. But am I okay knowing what it is, the changes they made on the defensive line? No, I'm a little concerned about depth. I'm not going to lie. But as far as
really?
What? No, for what, corner?
Oh, for corner, certainly. Corner. I thought you meant the defensive line. I was no.
I
feel amazing about that.
With the changes they made on the defensive line, I feel better about the corner position overall.
Got it.
I would be worried about corner depth.
Got it. Yeah.
But if they went into this season with these guys and like just signing a guy practice can like it's just a body, I'm not afraid.
Sure. Vindo goes, bust down my AP. Perfect timing for Adam Peters there. Renell Winchester goes, HTTC. Love your show. Appreciate that, Renell. And Tony. Shout out Tony OG. K-Dot, you're looking thinner, buddy. I'm loving this free agency. I think this is the most complete free agency I can remember in my 39 years of fandom. Now, if we can get Jeremiah Love at 7, we'll have the final Infinity Stone. I feel like we could sign or draft a safety or linebacker next year. I hear you both questioning the O-line. Chris Paul re-signed and the immediate impact of Love is unquestionable. Just give him the ball and watch him create in the moment. On the defensive side, schemes on both sides of the ball, player development, etc., can make a great defensive player just good. It's always a question of if a college player can adjust to the pro level, and that makes me hesitate on the defensive side of the ball. So for me, my draft want is Jeremiah Love. His presence and impact would immediately help Jayden Daniels and make our offense lethal. Now, Cue I Need Love by LL Cool J. K-Dot, your reaction to the comments.
From a football perspective, I would say the thing that defensively worries me less is I think the positions, the acquisitions on the defense have created a situation where I feel much better about young guys being introduced and being insulated to some degree in the sense of the way that they would be rolled out. Because I look as far as everything on defense, I can see someone else starting in front of that person and being able to be kind of developed the way they need to be developed. And even if they make a mistake here and there, we can survive it. And I even put that at corner right now. I can live with a few mistakes because of what it is they've been doing on the defensive line. If they eat the way they need to be fucking eaten, right? And if we got more speed, there's more speed at linebacker, that's all you really need to make it an improvement over what it is that happened last season. At the beginning of the comment, because I didn't forget, I am down. I think since I've been tracking, I'm down like 120 pounds. I am worried that I'm getting the Al Roker thing where my head's just big. But I'm not gonna lie. Like I did not realize the body dysmorphia. Like I hear all the white girls with bulimia talk about body dysmorphia. I'm like, the fuck y'all talking about? It's a thing. It's a thing. It's fucking weird. It's mindfuck. But I have been looking back at old videos. I'm not gonna lie and be like, God damn, did you look fat? You fuck. I'm like, okay. It's differences. But also, I'm in so much pain because the first thing I did when I got to Seattle is I found my Bowflex adjustable dumbbells and I went and spent $300 to go pick them shits up. And you know what I'm doing? I'm getting a storage unit out here to just put them in. Turn time here in Seattle, I can go get my workout equipment. So like that's where I'm at. Your boy's turned over a new leaf. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely love it. And you are looking good. You are looking good, K-Dot.
Thank you.
And here's Jansen Elaine going, I want Sonny Styles at 7. Then his brother in round 6 or 7. Imagine if we got the Styles brothers, K-Dot.
I'm going to be so upset. But I will tell you right now, come draft night, dog. Because here's the thing. The way it's all shaken out, I do think before the draft, me and you might have to do a couple solo episodes, like taking turns or whatever. I think that's the way it's going to work out. Especially if there's a gap between that and draft night, boys. I'm telling you right now, if Sonny Styles ends up being a thing, fuck a schmedium. Fuck a schmedium. I am going to lose my fucking mind.
Which I would love to see because I know when we drafted Jayden, let me tell you, it is a feeling unlike any other. I ran around this apartment while that graphic was shown. It was.
I would be higher on the Sonny Styles pick than I would be Jayden, which is
you would. Oh, you would. You have been campaigning for this man for months now. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Once again, I think the only because of how high I think it's the way I'd feel with Caleb Downs in this team, especially with Nick Crosshair too. Also, my God,
right? But Sonny's your crush.
Yeah,
Sonny's what the heart wants.
And then as much as I shat all over the combine, then he comes out and does like the greatest combine performance in the history of the combine. I'm like, but it's like, guys, that has no impact on the way I feel about dude. Now you guys are this is the thing that pissed me off. The fucking combine has now elevated his profile for everybody else in the way that I don't want it to be.
I know. I sent you so many tweets. I was like, it's over, dude.
So fucking annoying.
We will see what happens. We're going to do a live stream of the draft also, and we'll see. We'll do like a Sonny Styles countdown, like number of picks until Commanders get Sonny Styles. And we'll just see if he gets past New York, everyone share
Emmanuel
the
Forbes.
link.
How?
If the Giants do not take Sonny Styles, and then it's pick 6, and we're a pick away from Sonny Styles, everyone be responsible and share this shit with everyone you know, because K-Dot may spontaneously combust live on YouTube.
What I'm seeing happen is live for the War Room. Is that Ron Rivera? What?
No.
No, Forbes on the board.
We don't need a car. Oh. Here's Big Papa Grizzly going at the 52:20 mark. Love or Down sounds like a Netflix dating show. Which, if you're mine went where I did, that's pretty good.
Oh my God. Dude, I swear to God, in this moment, I wish we did another podcast because I could go so. Look, I want to talk about this for oh God. Oh man. I don't know. Shit. Can I say this? Am I allowed to say that? This might be a problem.
It's our show.
Along those lines, has anyone seen things on? I don't know if it's just my algorithm, but I'm concerned because I've been seeing OnlyFans models that might have been on that show are being advertised to me.
Oh, no. It's not on my feed anyway.
Just shit is. I don't know how to feel.
My let's see, the District Divided account is nothing but Commander stuff, of course, and then the my personal account is Arsenal stuff, and then what's going on in the Middle East and here. That's the stuff I get, at least on Twitter.
Yeah. I got different accounts for different things.
Those are my only 2 accounts. So.
One is just they might as well just instead of X videos might as well be the thing that fucking pops up. I'm like, God damn, they just don't give a fuck on this. This is wild. Then the other one's like, hey, here's some Commanders fans pissing you off. Hey, you want to see somebody get shot in the head next? Here's a cat. I was like, what?
Here's a cat. That's going to become so quotable moving forward. Here's a cat. We're just going to keep doing that after insane shit happens. Earl Bruce rounds out the comment mailbag here. Going, after sifting through all of the free agent interviews, analysis of the free agents, and all the next man ups, I've reached a conclusion on Adam Peters. He did pretty damn well. He can't fix all the holes in one offseason, but he did a pretty good job of making the defense younger and faster. He improved the depths of the defensive line and the linebackers. The players all come with a developmental plan. Offensively, they're still missing a center and a true wide receiver too. Have they strengthened the D enough to be able to pivot to O in the draft? Time will tell. K-Dot, I see that smirk. Your reaction?
Well, as I'm reminded about that experience I had last week, I had to tell her, like, yeah, she wanted it young. She wanted it fast because the D was strong. But I had to tell her, like, your boy's down 100 pounds. The stamina is increased. We're going to have to slow it down just a little bit. You know, I can last a little longer.
This is a show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington.
God damn, podcast. I'm just starting my day. It's 10:30.
I am. That is K-Dot over there on the West Coast. And if you enjoyed this episode as K-Dot gets on with his day, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. And K-Dot.
Share this shit and share it more. I need to be able to afford trips like this. All right, let's go.
Share this shit so that K-Dot can afford more trips like that. So we greatly appreciate you guys, and we will see you next Friday, 2 p.m. as we always do. So until then, take it easy.
Hey, while the world is failing, just telling you, FYI, a piece to everybody. You can make a lot of money on Kalshi.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.